Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope we are all doing very well indeed. So we are going to be doing our literal questions today, based, of course, on chapter 4 of Edward Tulane. However, before we get started with that, we need to recap the 8 bits of vocabulary that we looked at yesterday. And they are, those eagle eyes amongst you may have spotted them, they are all behind me here. So if you'd like to pause the video, just refresh your mind as to what these 8 words mean, as well as the action, because we're going to be recapping that as well. So feel free to pause the video now. So hopefully you've had a bit of time just to refresh your mind and have those actions and those words ready in your head. So I'm going to call out a word, and to your laptop screen, as if you're doing it to me, I would like you to do that action, please. So let's start with pure. Pure. What is the action and the meaning for pure? So hopefully loads of you drawing your imaginary halos on top like an angel, because pure means something that isn't mixed or hasn't been mixed with anything else, is made of only one substance. So we used an angel as an example of being pure white, rather than having any sort of dirt or other markings on them. Next word, proudly. Proudly. What's the action for proudly? Remember, it's something that you're very, very pleased with yourself or satisfied with yourself. We should have hands on hearts, as if we've won a medal at the Olympics and we're incredibly proud of what we've done. Next word, concern. Concern. This word's a bit harder to remember the action, concern. It means anything that it has something to do with you. So I might say, listen up, everyone. This all concerns you. It's all about you, or it's going to affect you in some way. So concern. Next word, let's go for squealed. Squealed. So hopefully seeing your best kind of Home Alone faces, sort of shrieking as though there's either something scary's happened. You might squeal, or you might squeal in excitement. Remember, it's letting out that long, shrill, high-pitched noise. Squeal. Next action, consequences. Consequences. Remember, that's our action for consequences, because it's something that follows or is a result of something. So for example, if you were to behave badly in a lesson, a consequence of your behavior might be being moved down to yellow or double yellow, or potentially, if you were really bad, getting a detention or something like that. So consequence is something that happens because of something else. Next word, slit. Slit. You're seeing this action here, slit. Slit, which is to cut a long straight line into or through something. Slit. Penultimate word now, our second last one, neighboring. Neighboring. What could the action be for neighboring? Neighboring. Neighboring. So remember, it means located close to something or next to something. So as in your neighbours, the people that live in the house next door to you. And final word, I'm sure loads of you will remember the action for this one, stamped. Stamped. Excellent. It means to move down with force and speed downwards onto something else. Really well done, ladies and gentlemen. Well remembered. So we are going to do our vocab activity. So I'm just going to share my screen and show you what that is. So hopefully you can see our vocab do now. What you have to do on each of these 4 sentences is circle the 2 antonyms in each sentence. So hopefully we all know what a synonym is. A synonym, can you think of what that is? A synonym being 2 words that have the same meaning or a very similar meaning. For example, cold and freezing would be synonyms. So if synonyms are 2 words that mean the same or similar, what do you think 2 antonyms? What is an antonym? So that's right, an antonym is a word or 2 words that mean the opposite of one another. So a synonym means they mean the same, an antonym means they mean the opposite. So if I were to use that example again of cold, what would be an antonym of cold? Call it out at the screen. What is an antonym of cold? So hopefully we've heard words like hot, boiling, roasting would be antonyms, so it means the opposite. So let's do this first sentence together. Siri stamped her feet when she was denied cookies before tiptoeing to the kitchen to steal some. So all of these sentences use some of the vocabulary that we've looked at. So Siri stamped her feet when she was denied cookies before tiptoeing to the kitchen to steal some. So I know, because it's one of our vocab, that stamped is one of our key words, meaning to move down with great force at something. So what would be the opposite or the antonym of stamped? So looking through, can you find it? So for me, I would say tiptoeing and stamped would be antonyms of one another, because stamped means moves really hard downwards, whereas tiptoeing is something you do if you don't want to be caught, if you're trying to be quite sneaky. So you could underline stamped and tiptoeing there. If, however, you don't have the sheet printed out, that's absolutely fine. Rather than writing out the whole sentence, what you can do is just on your piece of paper, just write number 1, stamped, and tiptoeing, like that. So that's absolutely fine as well. So your task, can you please complete the last 3 sentences, circling or underlining the 2 antonyms in each one. Okay, pause the video now and resume once you've completed that task. Off you go. So hopefully you have had a chance to complete these final 3 sentences. Let's look at the antonyms in each. Here are the answers. Please feel free to mark your work as we go along. So we've already looked at stamped and tiptoeing being antonyms, being opposite of one another. Then the athlete's proud moment was ruined when he tumbled, embarrassed in front of the finish line. So of course, proud is when you're really pleased with something. Embarrassed is when you'd rather forget something or is something that makes you feel awkward. So proud and embarrassed would be the antonyms. The next sentence, neighboring, which means next to, and then distant, which means a long way away. So those 2 would be the antonyms there. And then the final one, the pure white princess drank the witch's tainted potion. So pure, of course, means made of one substance. However, the witch's tainted, if you didn't know what that means, maybe you can guess from the context. Tainted means something maybe nasty has been put into it. So pure means only one substance. Tainted is the antonym because it means someone else has put something in. Well done, ladies and gentlemen. So let me just, there we go. So what I would like you to do now is I would like you to go to the video of me reading chapter 4 to you, please, which should be one of the links on the home learning sheet. And can you please listen to me read through chapter 4 again? And then what I'd like you to do is you can then mute me, drag it to the beginning, and then read through it yourself. So you've gone through the text twice today, please. Once you've then listened to me reading through that text and then you've gone through it as well, can you please come back to the video and we will have a look at those literal questions that we're going to be doing. Okay, so pause the video now and read through that text, please. Off you go. Okay, so hopefully you've listened to me read through chapter 4 again, and then you've gone back and read through it yourself, because it's really important that you guys are reading it, not just listening to me like an audiobook. Okay, so let's have a look at some of our literal questions today. So, of course, thinking, what is a literal question again? What difference does it have maybe to an inference question? Very good. So literal, of course, is where the meaning or the answer can be found in the text. So all the answers can be found directly in the text, whereas inference, of course, is when we have to make a judgment for ourselves using some evidence. So we're going to be looking at true or false questions to start with. So true or false? The princess shone as bright as the moon. So of course here we're talking about that story that was being read to Abilene by Pellegrina. So the first thing we're going to do is underline the key words in the question. So true or false? The princess shone as bright as the moon. So princess is going to be quite an important word. However, I'm not going to underline it. Why do you think I'm not going to underline it? I'm not going to underline it because the story is about the princess, and so she gets mentioned a lot. So if we're going to stop at every time the princess is mentioned, it's probably going to be every sentence. So I'm not going to underline that one. Shone, I think, is definitely going to be one of the key words. I'd say bright as well, because it's describing, it's the adjective that we're going to be looking for. And then also moon, because she's being compared to, using this simile, as bright as the moon, she's being compared to the moon. So we're looking for that noun there for her to be compared to. So we're going to go on to page 35 and look for these key words: shone, bright, and moon. So step 2, skim and scan for text. Skim and scan the text for keywords. So let's have a look at my down my camera here. So once there was a beautiful princess who was very beautiful, she shone. Okay, great. So we've got shone right at the beginning here. So feel free to underline them. And I can see right next door, I've got bright. And look at that absolute jackpot. I can see moon down here. So step 3, remind me, what was step 3 again? Well, we can go back and have a look. Step 3 is to read around those key words. So we're going to go to the beginning of the sentence that these words have been mentioned. So that is over here, and we're going to read it. She shone as bright as the stars on a moonless night. Okay, so does it say that our true or false statement was the princess shone as bright as the moon? Now, I don't think it says that. It says she shone as bright as the stars on a moonless night. So not as bright as the moon. So that's really useful there. So we're going to then type in, remember doing it as a full sentence here. The princess shone as bright as the stars on a moonless night. So there's my answer there. I'm going to check, does my answer make sense? The princess shone as bright as the stars on a moonless night. Yeah, I think that does make sense. Definitely makes grammatical sense, and it's true because that's what I found in the text. And then number 5, does it answer the question? Have a look at the answer. Do you think that answers the question? Pause the video now. So hopefully you've seen that actually it doesn't fully answer the question, because the question here is true or false. That's where the question mark is over here. And I haven't answered whether I think it's true or false. So I actually, right at the beginning, the first word that I need to put there is false. And then my answer, I'll read through that again. Does it answer the question now? False. The princess shone as bright as the stars on a moonless night. That is much better because I've said whether it's true or false, and then I've backed it up with that evidence, really important, saying what the princess shone like. So here are your questions. I've left the steps to success up in the top right-hand corner here for you to refer to. Please make sure you do that. And then over here, we've got all of the literal questions for you to do. Many of them you can do on the sheet, which are the tick boxes here. Some of them you will have to write down on a bit of paper. Once again, if you don't have the sheet printed out, that's absolutely fine, because you can just write on a piece of paper. If we take number 1 as an example, who is the story about? I don't know if it's about Edward. I'm not saying this is the right answer. You can just write the story is about Edward. Or as it's a tick box one, you can just write the word Edward in this case. So you can just do it like that. So if you don't have the sheet, no problem at all. So I'm going to leave those questions on there for you. If you manage to get through all of those and you really want to push and challenge yourself, that would be fantastic. We've got the extension. Imagine the princess had survived and had been turned back into a beautiful princess. How do you think the experience of being changed into a warthog would make her change her behavior? So thinking that if she hadn't been killed and she'd been given another chance, how do you think her behavior would have changed? So guys, pause the video now and we will go through the answers when you resume and are ready to go. Okay, best of luck. Okay, hopefully you have gone through all of these. Let's go through the answers and see how you got on. So who is the story about? Of course, it's about the beautiful princess. It is partially about a witch as well, but the beautiful princess is the main, who it's mainly about. What type of story does Pellegrina tell? It's a fairy tale. What two things did the princess not care about? She didn't care about anyone or love. What did the princess do with the prince's ring? Memorably, she swallowed it. Interesting choice. Then let's go through the true and falses here. So the first one is true, false, false, true. Where were the king's men when they found the princess? They were in the forest, of course. And then match these statements together. The witch had no time for visitors. The king was powerful, and the princess hates people speaking of love. And I'm really looking forward to seeing, hopefully you upload onto CSource an extension as well of how you thought the experience may have changed the Queen. So guys, that is really, really well done. If you haven't been able to go through and mark them, just pause the video here and you can do that. And for the rest of you, really, really well done with those literal questions. I will see you this time again tomorrow to go through those inference questions, of course. Bye, guys.